Hi everyone, and welcome back to Glameres Gems. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my postpartum experience. As mentioned before, I felt that it was important to share dialogue around what I was going through with my experience, in the hopes that it can help other women and we can just have an open conversation around these things. So just stay tuned and I'll have all of that information for you. So I am currently 4 weeks postpartum. Actually, tomorrow I'll be 5 weeks postpartum. So as mentioned before in a previous video, on April 2nd, I had a beautiful baby girl. Her name is Savannah, and she was born at 37 weeks, 5 days. So I had a very high risk pregnancy with her, and I do have a previous video, and I put it in the suggested links here for you to watch, or I may just drop it in the description below if you want to see that video, just around my high risk complications that I was going through. But anyhow, I want to share just my recovery because, as mentioned, I am 4 weeks postpartum. So for my recovery, whenever I was discharged, I was still told by my doctor that I had to continue my blood pressure medication because I have chronic hypertension. So I've had high blood pressure prior to getting pregnant, had it throughout the entire pregnancy, and I still have it now that I'm postpartum. So just for the sake of my health, I'm still on the same medication, and it just keeps my blood pressure and everything level. But it's very frustrating being on that medication because, you know, I don't want to have chronic hypertension. I want to continue to go on the right path to just being healthy because I have 2 children that I have to consider. But more importantly, besides my kids, I have to make sure that I'm healthy so I can be the best version of myself that I can be. So I'm currently still on the labetalol, which is the pregnancy safe high blood pressure medication that they had me on throughout my pregnancy, and I'm on that still. But during my labor, they started me on a new medication called Postpartum, and Postpartum works in conjunction with the high blood pressure medicine, which is labetalol, to keep my blood pressure low. So my blood pressure ranges were really bad. They were like 189/110. And as mentioned before, that's just kind of in the danger zone. When you think about hypertension, you're at risk for stroking out and several other complications, heart failure, things like that. So they had to act very fast with me in regards to my hypertension. Now, as far as my healing process, that went pretty well. I had pain because I did have a C-section. So I had a lot of pain around the scar. My C-section, well, this was my second C-section. So my pregnancies were 10 years apart. So by the time I had this C-section, I felt as though the scar tissue would have been completely healed up. But I found out later on that whoever did the first one did a terrible job, and I had scar tissue growing over some of my organs, like my bladder and things like that. So the doctors that delivered my baby this time worked really hard to get my insides and everything back in order. So just praying that, you know, everything is good to go with that. But it is amazing how, you know, you have no idea about what they're doing once they open you up. And when I think back 10 years ago, because I don't want to get too far off subject, my menstrual cycle took about 3 years to regulate, and that could very well be why, you know, that could very well be why my menstrual cycle took so long, because I had scar tissue growing over my bladder and different things like that. But that's a whole nother video. That's just a whole nother story. So as far as the time frame for my healing process, they put me on ibuprofen 800 milligrams and they also put me on the oxycodone, or AKA Percocet. And I was taking that once every 8 hours, and it made me very loopy, very druggy. And I really hate to feel that way, but I had to take it because having a major abdominal surgery like a C-section, you need to take this medication or else you're just going to be in agonizing pain. But one thing that I did that I'm not sure if a lot of women do, and it's really ill-advised from your doctors, they don't want you to do it. Well, it's kind of like a catch-22. They want you to do it, but then again, they want you to relax and let your body heal up. So what I did was I made myself get up. I made myself go to the bathroom. I not overexerted myself, but I made myself get up and do different things because I knew that if I just got discharged from the hospital, laid in the bed, and then I'm taking all these medications and different things like that, and I'm not moving my body around, like getting up to go to the bathroom or trying to tend to my baby or different things like that, how can you heal? How can you heal if you're just on all these different medications and you're just laying up in the bed? So my doctor's just like, just rest, relax. And I did that. But on the flip side of it, I also made sure I got up, and essentially that helped, I believe, with my healing process, because a lot of women, I've heard different stories. Some women recover as fast as me as far as weaning themselves off of the pain medication. Because for me, I was able to wean myself off the pain medication in like 2.5 weeks, probably 2 weeks really. Because I didn't want to be on that medication long. And not only that, I just wanted to make sure that I can start mobilizing myself because I was in a lot of pain. And I've been through the process before with the first C-section, but I just wanted to make sure I can get up and start letting my body start regenerating itself and doing what it needs to do to heal. So in saying all of that, I was able to get off of that Percocet in like 2 weeks, and I was very grateful for that. So I still have a bunch of those pills, but I'm probably just gonna dump those in the trash can because I don't want to take those heavy drugs on top of the high blood pressure medication that I'm on. I can't do it. So another thing that I've been dealing with, besides, just my recovery and pain management, would definitely be constipation. And I don't want to be TMI, but hey, if you're watching this video, this is a postpartum recovery or experience, so I'm just gonna keep it real with y'all. But anyhow, I've had a lot of constipation, and I didn't know if it was from the prenatal vitamins or the other medications that I've been on. But to this day, as mentioned before, I'll be 5 weeks postpartum. I am still constipated. And what I take for that is milk of magnesia. And I liked it, when I was pregnant, because I dealt with constipation during pregnancy as well. I liked it during my pregnancy because it just had a nice cherry flavor to it. And literally in 30 minutes, it helps me do what I need to do. But now to me, it tastes like a fishy taste, almost as if it has like that omega-3 in there in conjunction with the milk of magnesia. So I don't want to take that. So I've just been kind of enduring. So I'm going to talk with my doctors about that when I go back to my next appointment, my 6-week checkup, just to see if there's any relief that they can give me, because constipation can come from so many different things. I don't know if it's from the major surgery that I had. I don't know if it's from the medications I'm on. I don't know if it's from my prenatal vitamins, but it is very, very frustrating to deal with that. So that's pretty much what I'm going through as far as the recovery process, but I feel really good. I'm able to do my normal day-to-day activities, and yeah, I'm doing well with my recovery. So I think just with all of the health complications that I've had, I just feel like it's imperative for me to not push myself, because I don't want to put it out there as if I'm overexerting myself, because I do understand the importance of resting your body after surgery. However, I feel like, that was kind of like my saving grace as far as just doing what I have to do, getting up out of bed, tending to my baby, and, just really weaning myself off of the pain meds. So I'm just grateful for that part of it. So the next thing that I want to talk with you about is weight loss. So I'll just share my weight loss or weight gain journey. So pre-pregnancy, I was 283, And then throughout my entire pregnancy, I only gained between 3 to 5 pounds, and that was probably just water weight. So essentially, I didn't really gain any weight, which is good because I am overweight. So I don't want to gain anything additional because it's just not healthy. But you don't want to lose too much weight either because that may not be healthy for your baby. But in my case, I didn't gain hardly anything. I gained probably like 3 to 5 pounds. So my weight stayed between 283 to 287 in that ballpark. And then when I went into labor, I was right at 283. Well, now my weight is 247, and I've seen a huge drastic change in the way that I look. Like my neck is slimming out, my face is slimming out, and you know, I can just feel a difference in my weight. My goal weight is actually 180, and I'm going to continue to work on eating healthier, working out once I'm cleared to do that, because just going through this experience with having health complications with high blood pressure, gestational diabetes, I'm only 29. I'm too young to have to deal with that. And really, age doesn't matter. It didn't matter if you were 18, 29, or 59. If you're in a position where you're able to be mobile and you're able to walk or, you know, drink water and do things, you know, for yourself, it's important at any age to take care of your body. It's the only body you have, you know, and knowledge is power. You know, I got lazy. I'm a stress or emotional eater. So I just really stopped taking care of myself and gained all this weight. And as a result, had a very complicated pregnancy, and, you know, not a tough delivery, but it could have been much worse if I didn't listen to my body and, you know, take cues from my baby. So I'm grateful for that. I do have a labor and delivery story if you want to watch that, previously filmed. So definitely check that out. But yeah, as mentioned, you know, like as I'm mentioning, it's just been, you know, such a blessing that I've lost close to 40 pounds in just a matter of 4.5 weeks. So I'm praying that I can continue to stay on that path and continue to lose the weight, because essentially it's not even about my goal weight or wanting to, you know, have my nice slim, slender shape and all of that, because I do want to look good, you know, and I definitely want to feel like a milfiana, you know, but anyhow, I definitely, more importantly than anything, want to be healthy. I want to be the best version of myself, so that way I can be healthy for me and healthy for my family, healthy for my kids. So now I am primarily breastfeeding. My baby, her number one main source of breastfeeding, I have mush for brains, but anyhow, my baby's number one source of food is from breast milk. Now I do supplement. They have these supplemental bottles. They're from Similac, and they're called supplementals. And it's in a green box. You get about 6 bottles, and they're all 2-ounce bottles. And comes with the little nipples, around $7 at Walmart. But I do use those when I'm in between. Building up my milk supply. Now I'm going to talk a little bit in depth about breastfeeding, because going through postpartum, breastfeeding your baby can be a very stressful process. And I'm not even going to pretend or, you know, I'm going to just keep it real about that. And just talking about it's making me thirsty. So excuse me, I'm just going to drink some water. But number one, you get very dehydrated from breastfeeding. I had no idea about that, because I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I had some complications with my son 10 years ago with him latching on. So I wasn't very committed to breastfeeding. So I just said, screw it. He's just going to be on formula. And that's what he was on, you know, and I hated that. That was one of my biggest regrets, but he had a very hard time latching on, and I didn't want to just battle with him every day with that. So I just put him on the formula. But I did pump with him for about the first month and a half. I pumped So he was getting breast milk, but eventually he was weaned to the Similac, and he was on formula. So with this baby, I was like, I'm going to try to dedicate myself to breastfeeding and pumping with her. And I'm very proud of myself because my baby, I mean, she was 6 pounds, 12 ounces when she was born, and now she's 8 pounds, 4 ounces, and it's only been a month. So she's gained over 2 pounds. So I'm very pleased with her health and her weight gain from my breast milk. But I do supplement, and I don't want you women to feel like, you know, well, I'm not getting enough breast milk supply and I don't want to put my baby on formula, or, you know, you just get so overwhelmed with it. Use the Similac, use the powder if you need to. Don't stress yourself out. It's okay. As long as your baby is being fed, you know, that's perfectly fine. Because if you're breastfeeding your baby, any amount of breast milk that a baby gets is going to be well much deserved for that baby. Because some babies don't get breast milk at all. So if you're breastfeeding and supplementing, that's okay, because your baby is still getting ultimately the best nutrients and vitamins and antibodies that are being pumped into her or his body. That's going to be healthy for the baby to help them fight off infections, diseases, things like that. So don't get overwhelmed with that or feel like you're a failure as a mom if you're having to supplement. And that's something that I was dealing with because, you know, my milk between two breasts, so this is my struggle breast. I'm just going to keep it real. This breast pumps about 1 ounce of milk, but this breast can pump anywhere from 2 to 3 ounces of milk. So between the two breasts, I'm getting around maybe 2 to 4 ounces. Now, some days, on a good day, on a lucky day, when I'm feeling happy, this one may pump out about 2 ounces. So that's like really great. But what I do for breastfeeding is I do a 3-hour alarm on my phone, but that's really an alarm for my baby's feeding. So I either will pump or I'll nurse every 3 hours. But the key to breastfeeding is faking your body out. And this is a shout out to my friend Kira. She's a nurse, and she just told me this. But she said you have to make your body feel as though it's feeding another baby, as if you're feeding twins. And then, of course, if you have twins, you want to make your body think that it's feeding quadruplets. So pretty much what you want to do is you want to nurse your baby for 10 to 15 minutes on each breast. And then after that, you want to pump each breast for 10 to 15 minutes. So you want to give yourself around 30 to 45 minutes in a feeding every 3 hours. That's consistency is going to help your milk production to increase. And then it's also going to, help your baby get all the food he needs. But let's just keep it real. Who has time for that? Especially like if you have another child or you have multiple children, you have a household, you're maybe working, you have a husband you have to tend to. So breastfeeding can be very, very stressful for a lot of women. A lot of women can get defeated and feel like, you know what, this isn't for me. And then you can feel like you're failing your baby because you want to breastfeed your baby, but you may not have the time. You may not have the energy. You may not have the patience. You may not have enough milk supply, and all of those things can factor into making you feel defeated and making you not even want to do it at all. So, in saying all of that, don't get discouraged. Breastfeeding, in my opinion, is not for everyone. Some women are single moms, so they're not able to take the time out to, exclusively breastfeed because they're thinking about, I got to go back to work because I got to take care of my other kids. Or if you're a single mom and, you just have this one baby, it could be stressful because you don't have the support that you need. It's just you doing everything. So, and breastfeeding is a job in itself because you're around the clock. I didn't know that your body gets dehydrated from breastfeeding. So I'm like, why am I so dried out? Do I have a diabetes again? Because I ain't got time to prick myself with no insulin again, Like, I can't do that. And not realizing that breast milk is, pretty much, I guess, don't quote me on this, but I guess it's like 80 to 90% water. and then the rest is like the nutrients and everything that the baby gets. I'm not sure. So that water is coming from your body, so you have to stay hydrated. You have to drink water. And I did not know that. I guess I'm just slow. I mean, I just don't know. I wasn't paying attention. But, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a huge toll on your body. And sometimes that milk flow, if you're stressed out or, you know, your baby is stressed or just anything, it can stop, or you may not produce as much milk when you're under a lot of stress. So it's a lot, and it's still a work in process for me. My ultimate goal with breastfeeding would be to have a freezer supply. That way I'm not constantly having to put her on my breast. But my baby's a little bougie, so she didn't like take her passy anymore. She'd much rather use me as her passy. And you know, I love that. You know, she wants to bond with mama, but at the same time, it's a lot. It is a lot. And then I have a 10-year-old, so trying to, you know, manage him and his needs and breastfeeding, I mean, whew, it's a lot. It is a lot, but don't get discouraged. Don't beat yourself up about it, because you know, again, it's not for everyone, but if your baby even got an ounce of breast milk, you've done a world of wonder in that baby's life anyway, because, you know, breast milk is the best. So, yeah, that's so far been my journey with it. Also, you can utilize resources. Generally, the hospital that you had your baby at, they should have a lactation consultant there that you can call or visit that can give you helpful tips around breastfeeding. So now I want to get into baby blues or mommy blues. So I guess when you think of baby blues, you know, I wouldn't say I've really dealt with that part of it. I'm extremely happy to have my baby. And it's not to say that people that go through baby blues are not happy to have their baby. But I know a lot of women that go through baby blues, because postpartum depression is a very real thing. And it doesn't mean that you're crazy or you're mentally ill. It's something that women go through as far as a hormonal imbalance and a hormonal change that can make you feel, you know, like you're going crazy, like you're losing control. So a lot of women go through baby blues, and maybe I'm going through it too. I would call my mommy blues, because my stress factor when it comes to the depression part of having postpartum is not more so what I'm dealing with the baby. It's more so what I've had to deal with and adjust with my son that's 10. I've never mentioned this on my channel, but my son actually has special needs. He has cerebral palsy. So I had a very difficult delivery with him 10 years ago. And that's a huge reason why my pregnancies are so stretched out. Because he was perfectly healthy baby. I found out that, you know, my blood pressure and my gestational diabetes were both they were not controlled properly. However, the baby, as far as I knew, was okay. He was 41 weeks. He was 41 weeks when he was delivered, so he wasn't a preemie. But what happened was they made me push for 3 hours before prepping me for a C-section. And when that happened, he lost oxygen to the brain, had a seizure, and now he has cerebral palsy. So I'm very, very involved in every step of his life. And he's a mama's boy, you know. I mean, he's been my only baby for 10 years, and I baby him still. I kiss him all the time. Every day I tell him I love him multiple times throughout the day. So my depression mainly came from feeling as though I was neglecting him, because I know having a newborn, they require so much. I primarily breastfeed, so that's another thing in itself. And I mean, I went off on my husband. I went off on my mom. I mean, I really had a rough time just balancing, feeling like I was losing control, feeling like I wasn't showing my son the love that he needed, the attention that he needed, because I was tending to the baby. Even when I went into labor, well, not when I went into labor, but even when I went into the delivery room that like have my C-section, I was boo-hooing, crying so bad, because all I could think about was, if something goes wrong in this surgery, if something does not go right or something happens to me, my son needs his mom, because he's special needs. He needs me. And when you have a child with special needs, it's kind of like you always want that validation from them, like for them to know that mommy loves them, you know, because some things they can't comprehend. And you know, my son, he definitely knows I love him, but I think the hardest thing for me was after I had my daughter, he didn't even want to be around the baby. So he was happy, you know, but when he realized, like, we brought her home and she was getting all my attention, and I'd be like, well, come hold your sister or come give her a kiss, and he'll say no. And he was just so disengaged. But I had to realize it was an adjustment. It was just a process we had to go through. So now he loves his baby sister. He's like, that's my baby sister. And he gives her kisses. And, you know, once she gets a little bit bigger, like maybe 4 or 5 months, and she's sitting up and playing with toys and different things, that's probably when they'll really interact, you know, really well. But she can't really do much right now. She's so little. So, but he does admire her. He gives her kisses all the time. And, you know, he's like, that's my baby sister. I love her, you know, so that makes me feel so much at ease, because I always said to my husband, we need to have another baby because he needs someone. If something were to happen to me or you, I want him to have a sibling that they can look out for each other, you know, because I'm an only child from my mom. So it was always important for me, for me to have more than one child so they can have each other. So I'm grateful and blessed for that. But yeah, that's the mommy blues that I've been dealing with. You know, just adjusting to having 2 kids and making sure that I'm still showing them the love and affection that they need. And, you know, I felt like I was going crazy. I really did. I wasn't able to do my laundry. I wasn't able to drive my car, you know, or even just go to the grocery store. And I just felt like there's nothing I can do right now for him. Like, I can't give him a bath. We can't do our normal thing we do. And I'm tending to the baby. And yes, I have to tend to my baby because she's so little, she needs me. But it was like, I really just felt like I was neglecting my son. Like, it was just a pain that I had never felt before. And I cried so hard about it, you know, and I just have to, you know, continue doing things for him. So my resolution for that is mommy and me time. And I'm going to be doing mommy and me series probably within the upcoming weeks, because I want to show things that I'm going to be doing with my son and things that I'm going to be doing with my daughter, and things we'll collectively do as a family. So I think that's important, because your kids, especially in my situation with him being an only child for 10 years, he's going to still need that one-on-one time with me, because that's what he's used to getting. And I don't want to deprive him of that. Not only that, he's 10, so he's getting to a point where he's going to be getting into that preteen stage. So he's going to be going through changes himself. And I want to make sure that I'm present for all of those things. I'm not so consumed with the baby. So yeah, it's very important for me to make sure that I can still give him the time that he needs. But it's also about finding a balance. So any support groups, family members that you may have, or even friends that have went through this or went through what you're going through, reach out to them. Don't be ashamed. I feel like we as women, we hold so many different things in because we want to show that we're powerful. We want to show that we got it and we can handle, and we can. We can do it all, but at the same time, we can't do it all. And I know that sounds like a contradiction. So yes, we're capable of being able to be the mom, being able to cook, being able to work and do all of that. We're able to. And some women don't have a choice. Some women have no other options. They don't have family to rely on. They don't have a husband. They don't have a boyfriend. They're doing the kids and mom thing by themselves. And those are the women that I show utmost respect for, because to me, you can do that because you don't have no other options and you do it flawlessly. Like, I just wish you all the best if that's your situation. But definitely, if you can utilize resources, definitely do that, because every woman needs an outlet. You need someone that you can cry with. You need someone where you can just go sit off and just talk, or just have someone as a listening ear. Everyone needs an outlet, because you will go crazy. You'll feel like you're losing control. You'll feel like you're just not yourself. So You got to do something for you. An old friend told me that one time. It don't matter what you're doing, you know, do something for yourself, whether it's getting a bubble bath, painting your toes, combing your hair. Do something for you to make you feel like this was something I did for me. Because when you become a mom, it's all about your kids, but you're still a person. And those kids are going to grow up and become adults, and you don't want to look back over your life and say, I haven't accomplished anything, or, you know, I haven't done anything for me. It's always been about my kids. Because then they're going to grow up and live their lives, and then you're going to be starting over from square one when you can be doing that now. So that's just my little bit of advice on that. Lastly, I just want to share my overall health. So overall, my health is stable. I'll say that. If I can get weaned off of this blood pressure medication, I will be happy for that. That would just be something I'm so grateful for. But overall, you know, I'm doing what the doctors asked me to do. I'm on the medication. I'm taking that the times that I'm supposed to. Hopefully next week they'll clear me where I can start walking and working out and things like that. And, you know, I'm just very grateful. I'm going to continue on my weight loss journey and continue seeking help for breastfeeding and all of that. But that's been my postpartum experience so far. You know, if you all have anything that you want to share with me, definitely leave a comment down below. Make sure to thumbs up this video if you like it or you want to see more. And definitely subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with me on any of my new and upcoming videos. So I do thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.